Princess Shivangi's birthday was just around the corner, and the Maharaja saw it as a golden opportunity to mend their relationship. The Maharaja was seated in his vast and grand office. The room was filled with an atmosphere of seriousness and royal dignity. In front of him stood Yadavji and the head of the palace servants, respectfully. The soft sunlight coming through the windows was falling on their faces, while the determination for an important decision was clearly visible in their eyes. The Maharaja said in a deep and authoritative voice, "The princess's birthday is near, and we want it to be her most memorable birthday." Pausing for a moment, he continued, "Everything will be to her liking: food, decorations, cake, palace adornments, the colors of flowers, everything. There should be no shortage of any kind." He then turned to Yadavji and ordered, "Invitations should be sent to all state officials, ministers, and royal families from other states." Both enthusiasm and determination were reflected in his voice. This celebration should be so grand that it will be remembered for years to come. Hearing the Maharaja's words, both bowed their heads respectfully and answered yes, before promptly leaving to carry out the orders. As soon as they left, silence fell in the office for a moment. The Maharaja leaned back in his chair and spoke softly to himself. "We will never let our daughter be far from us again. We will give her all the happiness and affection she should have always received." A mixed glimpse of regret and love was visible in his eyes. A lot of time had passed. But now we will set everything right. With this thought, a slight satisfied smile appeared on his face. But in the next moment, he busied himself with work again. He wanted all his tasks to be completed beforehand, on the birthday, so that he could spend all his time only with Shivangi. On the other hand, Shivangi was sitting in front of a large mirror in her room. A light fragrance filled the room. Neela was carefully styling her long hair, while another maid sat nearby, chatting with her excitedly. The maid said with sparkling eyes, "Princess, this time your birthday is going to be very grand. Preparations for cleaning and decorating the entire palace have been going on since morning." She continued speaking excitedly without stopping. "We have heard that Yadavji is arranging to send invitations to everyone. It seems that a very big celebration will be held for your birthday this time." Hearing this, Shivangi fell silent for a few moments, her gaze fixed on her own reflection in the mirror. "In my past life, my birthday was never celebrated with such grandeur. So why are there so many preparations this time?" Questions began to arise in her mind one after another. She couldn't understand this, but as her birthday approached, the thought of Priya's arrival was increasing her anxiety. Her fingers began to tighten unconsciously. The same old things would be repeated. As soon as Priya's name came to her mind, flames of hatred ignited in her eyes. Her face was calm, but a storm of emotions was rising within. "We need to increase our powers as soon as possible, and we must prevent everyone from turning against us." Bitter memories of her past life began to revive in her mind. In her past life, as soon as Priya arrived, rumors spread throughout the palace that Princess Shivangi was an arrogant, proud, and ruthless girl. Shivangi was quiet, and taking advantage of this, Priya turned everyone against her. Priya would befriend everyone, behave lovingly with all, and slowly, very cunningly, she would bring Shivangi down in everyone's eyes. Gradually, the entire palace began to believe that Shivangi was indeed a ruthless and arrogant princess. Even the deaths that occurred during the attack at the time of Shivangi's birth were indirectly blamed on her. No one openly said it, but this perception had formed in everyone's mind. People would show her respect when they saw her, but she could clearly feel the hidden hatred in their eyes. Because of all this, no one in the palace mingled with her. Everyone looked at her with disdain. She seemed to be nothing more than a spoiled and ruthless princess. The loneliness of those days still existed in her heart, like a deep wound. "We will not let anything like that happen again," Shivangi firmly resolved in her mind. She was deep in these thoughts when suddenly Neela called out to her, "Princess, where have you lost yourself? We have been calling you for a long time." Shivangi took a deep breath, suppressed the emotions surging within her, and looked at Neela. "Nothing. I was lost in thought." "What were you saying?" Neela eagerly asked again. "So, Princess, which outfit would you like to wear for your birthday? We need to start preparations soon, as there is very little time left." Then she smiled and said, "If you decide, we can ask Yadavji to call the best designers in the state." Shivangi simply nodded slightly without showing much emotion. After that, she got up and picked up her sword. The same determination returned to her eyes. A few moments later, she headed towards the training ground, where she practiced her combat skills every day. In the middle of the vast ground, a warrior created by spiritual power stood before Shivangi. His figure resembled that of a real soldier. Shivangi was practicing new combat techniques with him to further refine her skills. The sound of clashing swords echoed throughout the field. Every strike, every defense, every technique was making her stronger. However, Shivangi was already proficient in all these arts. If she faced a real warrior at this time, she could easily win. In her past life, she had mastered every form of martial art, but this secret was known to very few. She was practicing only to show her trainer and others, just to pass the time. Shivangi was such a good actress that when any trainer taught her a new technique, she would behave as if she was learning something new for the first time. But the reality was that in her past life, she had gained such mastery that she could fight against 5 warriors at once. Her moves, her speed, and her understanding were no less than that of an experienced warrior. However, in this life, her body was still weak, so it was not possible to use her full strength. After finishing her practice, she returned to her room. Neela was already there. She quickly helped Shivangi bathe and get ready. The best designers of the state were about to arrive. They were going to decide on the princess's outfits, jewelry, shoes, makeup, and every little detail for her birthday. Everyone in the palace was excited about this preparation. But for Shivangi, none of this held special significance for her. She had become accustomed to all these things, so she did not show much interest in the process. She wore simple and comfortable clothes, then sat on the sofa and began reading a book brought by Neela. The room was quiet. The soft sound of turning pages could be heard, but the rising thoughts in her mind were disturbing that peace. Would this birthday be just a celebration? Or would it be the beginning of a new conspiracy? Would Shivangi be able to avoid repeating her past? Would she be able to thwart Priya's schemes in time this time? Why was this birthday going to be so important? And would the coming days completely change her fate? To find out, read the next chapter.